All right. That's I was that music kind of catchy. I was rocking my head.
You like that, huh?
Yeah, actually, I never really paid that much attention to it, but yeah, that is it's catchy. Yes, chat with the chief. I guess the intro theme. So anyway, good morning. I'm sorry, afternoon, Benton Harbor. It is March 6th, 2025. You are back on with myself and Chief Greg Abrams with chat with the chief. We're
Good
here.
afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. We're here every Thursday talking about happenings in the 49022. Our slogan is One Benton Harbor because although there's Benton Harbor and Benton Township, we are one Benton Harbor. So, again, we're here today and good to be back. I actually had, was hoping I wouldn't be late because I had like a personal delivery. You know how they give you a window and it was up to 12:30, and I was like, I'd be cutting it close, but I can still make it.
Hmm.
So luckily it came and we were all set. So anyway, what's going on with you, Chief Abrams? How was your week been and what kind of things you got going on there in your office department?
It's funny. The week has been slow, but I have several officers that are out sick today. Whatever this flu, pneumonia, whatever bug is going around is taking them down. This is something different.
Yeah, we had it
So
too.
yeah, so I got a lot of officers out sick, but I did go through our stats to see what was prevalent in the last, during the last few weeks, and my stats are kind of all over the map right now. I mean, I have a plethora of harassments, of course, accidents, civil situations. It's like there's not one thing that I have to concentrate on, that needs our immediate attention. It's like everything's everywhere right now. Well, I don't know. What are you seeing?
Yes, same thing. Well, the good news is crime wise, again, it's been another slow week, knock on wood.
Hmm.
I mean, we're still Benton Harbor, Benton Township. This is a place to be for police work and fire service. But it's been good. You know, we've had success, and we've talked about this over a couple of shows that we're getting people locked up that are responsible for breaking in these cars and breaking into these stealing these cars and breaking the cars.
Hmm.
So that's good, and I think some actually were juveniles and then became adults. So that helped. So that generally we can tell when we get certain people off the street, when numbers drop, we know who our main players are. So that's really it. Really, Chief, for me, my time is mostly consumed not really so much with police and fire, but with code compliance or code enforcement. They call it in other municipalities. So a lot of things going on there. We've talked about how uh, people come into Benton Harbor and try to disrespect us, do things, not register, not insure homes, that type of thing. So I do want to kind of get into that a little bit as I
Okay.
get to my side of the update. But that's what we're dealing with, and then also Benton Harbor folks. We Chief Abrams and I actually we've been talking for weeks. What we try to do, and what's important to us because we believe it's important to the community, is try to get plans in place, enforcement plans, other plans as far as mobilizing community stakeholders to combat community issues, i.e., violence, i.e., blight, things that are concerned, loud music that are concerning to our citizens. So we are working on that, and generally, what we do is have that really. We call it in Benton Harbor on our side a summer enforcement plan and have that in place by April, at least the start of May, because Chief, as you know, once May hits for us in our profession, it is nonstop 100 miles an hour from May to September.
Yep. That's true.
100 miles an hour. So and we believe that we should be proactive and not reactive. So that's really about it. Like it's a slow day. We just got a couple eyes on. Um, so that's that. So Chief, over in Benton Township. Let me ask you: do you deal with the same problem as the like say dumping. I know there is dumping in township, but is it as alarming as we have here in the city? We have, we'll clean up a site, we'll get cameras, we'll make arrests till people get wise to where cameras are. But one of our big problems is still dumping tires, trash, and as you know, this time of year, good old fashioned tax return time.
Oh yeah,
That's when we start to see couches and beds and dressers pop up. And
right.
the other killing part is that, at least in the city, I don't know exact number, but there's a predominance of people who dump in the city that aren't from the city. So, do you guys have a similar situation like that in the township that you deal with?
All the time. And our public works department is always out and about, um, gathering up all this trash and all these dumpings, man. And then, of course, we have to pay to give take it to the landfill, which so it all falls back on us. Um, and it ultimately the taxpayers will end up picking up that bill because we have those in our communities who decide they just don't want to pay to have their trash disposed of. They just rather dump it out in the field. I mean, it's not fair to your neighbors. It's not fair to the community. It's not fair to the municipalities who have to forward, these bills to the taxpayers in the form of your property taxes going up. And we're really trying to combat that as much as possible. We have new ordinance officers who are somewhat aggressive in getting things done, and so far, so good. We've had calls come in, especially as the grass starts growing, and if we have to cut someone's lot, just a basic home lot, under an acre is $350 just to cut a yard,
Ooh.
and it is. So our public, what happens is, if we locate a property that hasn't been maintained, the code enforcement officer tries to make contact with the owner of that property on several occasions. Say, hey, your property needs to be maintained. You're not maintaining it. So this is the first warning letter, and we send them a second warning letter, and then after that, that 10-day period, it goes to our public works department, and then they go out and they cut that property's lawn or
Hmm.
clean that lawn up, in that area. Then they if they don't pay it, goes toward their taxes.
And we have the same process here. And what makes that even more unfair is the fact that if technically, at least by our city ordinance, if somebody dumps on a property that's actually owned by a citizen, unfortunately, and this is where it's really unfair, and that's why I think we should really work on saying something collectively as a community and stopping these people. But it technically is the responsibility of the property owner. And
Correct.
of course, people don't like to hear that. And it is definitely unfortunate. And we definitely work with those people. We're not going to cite them and treat them, giving them hard deadlines for things that aren't necessarily their fault. But unfortunately, that is it. The other issue that we deal with is in the city. Like the city, we own, I think, over 400 lots that the city has to cut and maintain. But there is another issue that I was going to talk about this. So I guess this is the time. Another issue of there are also properties in the city, and I'm sure in the township, that people think are owned by the city or by the township, but are actually owned by the county.
Okay.
So that in itself is a huge problem, and that kind of gets into what we've been talking about as far as social justice being treated fairly. I'm gonna give some examples when I'm talking about as far as the city of Benton Harbor, and also neighbors coming together and trying to proactively find these guys that are dumping. One of the things that people have a misconception of as far as profiling. Yeah, racial profiling obviously is illegal. You just can't stop somebody because they're black. But and this is where people don't understand. Profiling is legal. So let me give you a couple of examples. So one example, Chief, is 12:30, 1 o'clock at night. on a Wednesday night, we see one or two young men standing on the corner with backpacks and flashlights, school
Hmm.
age teenagers. So if a patrol officer is driving down the roadway at 1 a.m. on a Wednesday night, which is a school night, and he sees some teenagers with backpacks and flashlights, that's an indication that they might possibly be people who break into houses and cars. As a matter of fact, Chief, I think you sent me a video where I got it from somewhere where the two vehicle burglars were caught on tape, and what do they have on? Backpacks and
A
flashlights.
flashlight, exactly.
So that tells us, hey, that fits the profile of a possible home invader or car burglar. So we'll stop. So that is a legal version. I'll give you a second example, and these are two very real examples that we see all the time. Profiling, and profiling is technically legal. Again, young person, weeknight, 1 o'clock in the morning, backpacks and flashlights. Um, Especially if you see them coming out between houses and whatnot, that is a sign that something might be amiss. The other one is you see a pickup truck driving down your street or down your alley or headed to your alley, and it's loaded up with all type of junk on the back. You can see broken down dressers, you can see mattresses, box springs, broken bicycles. Guess what they're probably doing?
Legal
Dumping.
dump.
So that's the profile. And most dumping, in my experience, people drive around with pickup trucks with uncovered beds that you'll see 6, 8, 10 tires. If you're seeing a pickup truck in your neighborhood, say, for example, the 11, 1200 block of Bishop or Union or Superior, whatever, um, they're not driving around checking to make sure your tires are safe. They're looking to dump those tires in your community. So if we see a vehicle like that, guess what? We're stopping it. And of course, there are laws that we have to follow. But as far as dumping and tires, there are very specific laws. You have to actually be a registered agent with the state of Michigan to haul more than 6 tires. So you got some old ball raggedy tires and you're driving through the alleys, right, Chief? Through the
Right.
alleys
Right.
on the south side. And the next time we see that vehicle, oh, look, the bed is clean. That's a profile of a dumper. So I want to make sure that we understand the legality of racial profiling, terrible, bad, should be combated. But there are other profiles that we use that look crime afoot. I'll give you a third one. Again, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, you see a car with a couple of Caucasians in it driving around, say, Jefferson Hill in circles, driving real slow, pulling over to the side of the road, stopping, taking off again real slow, driving back. In your experience, Chief, what is that? What are they looking for?
Oh man, they're looking for something.
They're looking for
They're looking
drugs,
for
aren't they?
something or someone.
They're looking for something.
That's right.
So, and then you run the plate and they're from Hartford. Why are
Oh
you
man.
in Benton Harbor at 4 o'clock in the morning driving around in circles if you're not coming here to maybe try to meet a drug dealer? So, when I was on the road, when I saw suspicious activity like that, I was pulling them over left and right. And I used to tell them, uh, Benton Harbor is closed. I said, you can only visit Benton Harbor Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And I said that jokingly, but people started to believe me. So, but I would tell if you're coming from Hartford, generally you're coming from another county and you're driving around Highland, you're driving around bus in circles, you're pulling over looking suspicious, waiting to have that, somebody come meet you again, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
That
you getting pulled over.
exactly, exactly. So that is that on profiling. But yeah, Chief, that's what we deal with, and unfortunately, with all the other things that I mentioned in the city, as far as unregistered rental properties, um, uh, owners that own properties that don't pay for inspections. We have several properties that we've come across from complaints that are literally condemned. They don't have water. They got bad plumbing. We got houses that literally have holes in the roof. You could be standing in the living room of a 2-floor house and look up to the ceiling. Those
Mm.
and the house is being rented for $900. But again, there's no water, there's no electricity. Those are the things that we are dealing with on our side. And again, that's when I talk about the social justice. That's what I'm talking about. Respect Benton Harbor, respect Benton Township, respect our people, treat us fairly, treat our people fairly, and respect our laws and ordinances, policies, and procedures. So I'll pause right there, Chief, in case anything I said has tickled your brain. But those are the things that we deal with more so once we become directors and chiefs, because we're not on the road dealing with the actual crime and traffic stops and speeding. It's trying to track down these people that are putting our people in harm situation. Most house fires start because people are daisy chaining, especially when it's cold. The heat might not work, or they got bad outlets, bad electricity, where they're not properly grounded. They're using the wrong wires. Their house catches fire, and generally, it goes back to a slumlord that has at least broken one or two city ordinances as far as not properly registering or having an inspection and just getting the money, bleeding it and bleeding the people and leaving the property, walking away from it. So that's what we deal with quite a bit. I don't know. Do you have the same thing in township in some of your areas?
Some of the areas we are actually investigating um, some of the residents that didn't have power that mysteriously caught on fire. My thing is that the house doesn't have uh, gas, if it doesn't have electricity, then why would it catch on fire? You have nothing to accelerate a fire there. So we do have a couple arson fires that we are investigating. Not sure why these houses caught on fire. It could be fraud. I mean, it could be anything. There's just no telling. So yeah, we're looking into those things right now. But one of the other things we're having issues with is automobiles. Um, that's I understand that people love their cars like I do. They work on their cars like I do, but there are certain prerequisites that you have to maintain in order to have these vehicles on your property. So you just can't have abandoned vehicles on your property and you just stacking and think nothing's eventually going to happen. Um, if there's a vehicle on your property in township, and I'm sure same as in the city, it has to be plated and insured.
Right.
Um, if you start bringing attention to yourself by placing multiple vehicles on your property, you can best well bet a code compliance officer is going to be by your residence. He's going to take pictures of those vehicles, send you letters saying, "Hey, these vehicles are not registered. We looked at the VIN numbers, ran the numbers, and you have to move them. If you don't move them a certain amount of time, then we have tow companies that we use that remove the vehicles from your property." I've had several people here complaining about that when it happened, and we gave them more than enough notice, and it still to no avail. It still keeps happening, and we don't want to take a person's vehicle because we have no use for it. But once again, and I know we were talking about houses, but it just kind of went into that same situation.
Yeah.
We just, and I tell everybody, I said, we don't want your money. I said, we want compliance. That's all we
Right.
want. Just
Yeah.
compliance. Take care of your stuff. Abide by our ordinances, and let's live happily together in harmony.
So it's funny you say that because we just had a situation that arose of a resident that wasn't happy because we had that exact situation, Chief, where as a tagged some vehicles in the yard, it was non-functioning. When you have
Mhm.
a vehicle that's sitting like on some grass and the grass has grown up around it, and you're cutting grass around it and it hasn't moved clearly in some time, like you said, the when we all got our license, we all have what's called implied consent, which basically means that it's implied that we consent to follow all the Michigan vehicle laws of Michigan. So, like Chief said, you have to have your vehicle registered and insured. And I think according to city ordinance, you're only technically by ordinance allowed to have two vehicles. Now, obviously, if you got 4 vehicles and they're all plated, and I know people who got multiple vehicles and they drive them, all of them. So we're not going to necessarily trip about that. But if you have 4 vehicles and 2 of them look like, I don't know, wrecks, then that could be a problem. So
Right.
yeah, we got to be mindful of that. And people, if you have vehicles, make sure you get those plated and insured so you don't have any problem from us. Another thing, Chief, you said going back, we actually this week we did have. So let me back up. So again, for us in Benton Harbor, we're public safety, which means we're both police and fire, and we have what's called automatic aid agreements with Benton Township and St. Joe City. So what automatic aid means as far as fire service, whenever there's a fire in Benton Harbor, an actual bona fide structure fire in Benton Harbor, Benton Township, or St. Joe, uh, we automatically dispatch our mutual aid partners, Benton Township and St. Joe, actually also Lincoln Township that participates. So that's for every structure fire. So if you ever happen to, by chance, have maybe seen a fire scene in St. Joe or Township and saw a Benton Harbor engine, or in Benton Harbor saw Benton Township or St. Joe, that's why we work together. So although cops don't necessarily like being firefighters, and firefighters don't like cops being firefighters, one of the benefits that we have of being both police and fire is when we go to the fire scene, we're going to the fire scene to fight fire, but we're going as cops. Meaning, we're thinking about looking around who's watching, we're thinking about canvassing, we're trying to develop leads while we're fighting a fire. So I will say a lot of people probably may not know, but arson cases are the most difficult, or one of the most difficult cases to prosecute. Very low prosecution rate on arsons, just because the evidence, of course, gets destroyed. You can glean things from the investigation, but at least unless you have a confession or an eyewitness that saw Joe Blow light that fire, it's very difficult. But us as public safety, our arson cases, although still low, are higher than the average. So the fire in township that we had, I want to say that was Monday. I think it's around the corner from your office. We located the suspect and arrested him.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. See, I didn't know that one. See, I'm behind a
Yes.
little bit.
Yeah. You know what? You're not gonna be burning down our 49022 houses and get away with it. So just a quick kind of side on that. So we work very diligently to solve those cases, and because we have mutual aid, auto aid, you'll see upwards of 20 firefighters on the scene. We have probably more firefighters in Berrien County between us, township, city, and St. Joe than probably anywhere else because of the auto aid. So we feel very, very proud of that. um, so real quick, again, we don't want to be here long. We shoot for like a 20 to 30 minutes. Remember last week I talked about victimization versus victimology. Victimization is somebody is already the victim or has been victimized by a crime. Victimology is basically trying to teach people safe habits so that they don't unknowingly and unwillingly advertise themselves to be a victim for a crime. So that's the difference between victim and victimology. And we said last week, any chief with his weight in dust should be able to tell you what his or her crime control model or philosophy is. Again, for me, it's the reduction of the opportunity for crime and the reduction of victimology, meaning we want to remove opportunities within the community that would invite people to look at a situation and think there's an opportunity for crime, and then for the people to teach them how to take safety precautions to protect themselves, not just their property but also personally. So that is what my platform is. So generally everything that we do operates kind of from that platform, that philosophy. So, for us, and Chief, we've talked about this. Matter of fact, I think you said this last week or the week before last. we can't arrest our way out of situations.
That's correct.
That's not the right way to do it. If you increase more police, of course, we're both short. We need more officers. Don't get me wrong, but throwing arrest at a problem does not necessarily get to the root or the heart of that problem. That's why you have to have community involvement. So when we talk about, of course, victimology, how do we protect our citizens and make them more aware? It is, what's the next step? What's the next logical step in that, Chief? Block clubs.
Neighborhood watch groups. That's what we
Thank
call
you.
them. Yes.
Exactly. Block clubs, neighborhood watch groups, fostering unity in the community. One of the things many years ago, and it's so funny because I got just kind of rared on when I talked about Operation Mayberry, which is still in effect. We have the goal of, if somebody say you'll never meet it, that could be very well the case. But if we don't try or have a goal, we won't meet anything. If you don't have a goal, you'll never meet a goal.
That's right.
So, and part of Mayberry is, people on a block, neighbors coming together. Back in our day when we were little kids, you knew everybody's name on the block. And of course, back in the day, if you did something wrong and neighbor Susie Q across the street caught you and popped you in the head, took you home, gave you to Carol or gave you to Dan, and then they'd pop you in the head, that was neighborhood. That was community. That's that. It takes a village to raise a child.
Right.
Well, what we see now is we have gotten so away from that mindset and model, and we're more of a NIMBY type mentality. And for those who maybe have heard that term but didn't know what it means, NIMBY means not in my backyard, which means that's not my problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, guys, I'm telling you, when I talk about social justice, I believe that is the number one reason why Benton Harbor people are treated so unfairly. Because if you live in St. Joe, if you're a judge over at the courthouse across the bridge, and you don't live here, then you're less concerned because it's not my problem. That's why I believe that when we have issues, they're taken less seriously over at the courthouse, especially by certain judges, because they have a NIMBY mentality. I talked about last week an issue we have with the judges not accepting our ordinance tickets that we're writing. We got a ton of tickets sitting in abeyance because they're giving our city attorney a bunch of trouble because they don't want to prosecute those cases. Well, on the Benton Harbor side, Chief, it looks like the city's not doing nothing. We are writing tickets. We got a plethora of tickets over there, and the judges are like, really not our problem. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically it. Let me give you another example of NIMBY and not caring about the city. And man, Chief, I hate to sound negative, but sometimes the truth, it is what it is. And if you know McGinnis, you love him or hate him, but the truth is the truth. So I know Benton Harbor residents, Benton Harbor citizens in the city. Every year, we get calls. Remember, I mentioned that the city does own 400 lots that we take care of. But we get calls. This lot hasn't been cut. The city lot by my house hasn't been cut. People don't understand and realize that not every public lot is owned by the city of Benton Harbor. There are many lots that are owned by Berrien County. They used to be also owned by the Land Bank, County Land Bank, which is part of Berrien, but apparently the Land Bank is no more. So there are many, and I don't know the number. I wasn't able to get the number before the show started. There are many lots out there that are owned by Berrien County. Now, for the last several years of me being the director, going back to now 3 managers, we have been fighting with the county because the lots that are owned by the county are under the auspices of the county treasurer. Well, a few years ago, and I think anyone from Benton Harbor will understand what I'm saying. At one point, the county was we'll cut the county lots in Benton Harbor every 2 weeks, and as you know, in Benton Harbor, every 2 weeks, especially at the start of the season, grass is raining, grass exponentially grows very quickly. And they would miss the first cut, and then they wouldn't cut anymore. So they would go first. It was 2 weeks. Then they said we gonna cut once a month. Greg or Chief,
Unacceptable.
you in the summertime you cannot cut a lawn anywhere once a month.
No.
So what the fight has been for many years is the county treasurer has been totally uncooperative and basically has thumbed his nose, or now her nose. It wasn't him, now it's a her, and basically says we're not cutting them. So we get angry calls about the city not cutting its lot, and there's a huge chance if it's never been cut or rarely cut, it's Benton Town. I'm sorry, it's Berrien County. So that's another example of the social justice I'm talking about. Treat us fairly, because Berrien County owns property in all jurisdictions of Berrien County. Somehow, somewhere, it'll fall to them on tax auctions, and they own them. They don't have similar problems, I think, in other. I'm not going to name them, but in other communities. Let me give you another one, and I'm gonna shut up. Again, Benton Harbor people, y'all know this. The number of burn up houses. Again, when houses sit after 3 years, they revert to the county. The county is supposed to demolish them if they're in such a way that they cannot be rehabbed. Well, what the county's been doing, and our current manager, Mr. Alex Little, is setting a meeting with the county treasurer, because they are not supposed to sell burnout houses that should be torn down, but they have.
Really?
So, yes. Again, Benton Harbor, not my backyard. I really don't care. So they know they're not supposed to be selling these burnout houses. So what happens is, and I want people from Benton Harbor to understand this, what happens is when somebody, and a lot of times when they buy these houses, they're not even from here. They're from other places. They get a property list, they bid on them and buy them for next to nothing. Find that they're totally worthless and just let them go. So in order for the city to be able to act for a property to fall to the county, it takes 3 years. 3 years of not paying taxes, 3 years of not maintaining the property, 3 years of not doing anything to it, then it fall to the county. Well, the city said, since county, you haven't really been taking care of these properties, these burnouts. Heck, we can't even get you to cut your lots that you owned. Don't sell any of the burnout properties. We are working with on grants to tear those properties down. The last go round, guess what they did, Chief?
What's that?
Totally ignored the manager and sold burnout properties. That now, once that person buys a property, sees it, and walks away from it, it's another 3 years. So if you wonder why a house has been sitting up for maybe 6, 7 years in your neighborhood and you're mad, that could be the reason why. And again, we are only treated like that. I don't think anyone else is treated like that. So that's social justice I'm talking about. I know one of our very active listeners, I don't know if she's on, Ms. Pettigrew. Again, I can give you week after week examples of how we are treated differently in the 49022. Chief, I'm gonna stop. I sound like negative Nancy. This is
you sound like you're telling the truth, and it hits home when it's your community.
Yeah, I hate to sound like I'm always complaining, but this is how we're being treated, Benton Harbor. This is how we are being treated. Period. So I'm gonna stop. Talk about something positive. Then we can get out of here.
You know what? Was something that's positive is, hey, the parade's coming up. We're getting ready for it. So you know what? I just want our community to be all on board with supporting our parade. Um, I've always been a fan of the Blossom Time Parade, and I'm hoping this season, this year, be just as great as the last year has been. Because I tell you what, man, downtown Benton Harbor is beautiful. Doing Blossom Time Parade, I mean, the businesses really take pride in their storefronts. It's super clean. It's like, I don't know, it's like something you just really never see, all the time. And during that time of the year, man, it's just a great thing to see. And I'm hoping to be a part of it this year. Normally, I have somebody else take care of that. I don't want, I'm not a front street or front runner kind of guy. I'm that backseat guy, but hoping to be more involved this year. So I don't know what your plans is for the Blossom Parade. I don't know how much you've heard about it, but I see they're starting on it already.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there's a meeting tonight that one of us needs to go to. But you know what? Since you love it so much, this will be my 27 Blossom Time Parade, and we are more than happy letting you come over and take charge and run it over here. Since you love it so much,
Yeah,
we
I'll be
anoint
more than willing to
you.
help.
I deputize you in the name of Benton Harbor and Jesus, the Blossom Time coordinator.
Uh,
Off you
it's
go.
fun times, man. It's just fun times. All the floats, the horses, the Ben Harbor Tiger Marching Band. Just love them all.
It is great community, and one thing while we're on it, one thing I want to say, I want to challenge a person in Ben Harbor. So I don't even think it's arguable, even with Larks, which is closed, which I didn't know. I don't even know why, but
That's
the,
your new
the
soup kitchen.
yeah, no, but how is that? Why is it closed? That's a whole nother, I guess, conversation
Mm,
offline. I didn't even know it was closed until the soup kitchen thing came up.
mm.
But the baddest barbecue I've had in Ben Harbor in my years here is one Jack Campbell.
Really?
Oh my God, he has barbecue that will not only melt in your mouth but make your mouth melt. But because he's so busy, he rarely pulls out his trailer and does barbecue. And the time he does, it goes like that. So if y'all can join me into putting pressure on
Jack,
Jack and have him get his trailer out and do some barbecue for this Blossom Time, I'm telling you, you will be amazed because he has, again, my years here, by far the best. He's also does catering on the side. So if we're talking about Blossom Time and a good time, if he does it, that's going to put it over the top. And if you haven't had Jack Campbell's barbecue, then you fall in love with it. And then you have to wait another 5 years for him to do it again because he's like that. So let's pressure him, talk bad to him if need be. Like, Jack, you got to do it for Blossom Time this year. We heard the chief talk about it, so now do it.
there you go. There you go. Well, I'm
So
all good today, man. I think I'm out of words, man. Except for Chick-fil-A still is they still cranking out that food, man. I can't even get in the line. The line too long, bro. The line is
yeah,
too long.
yeah, I saw the first day. It
Yeah,
was
but
okay. Well, Chief, that's what we got. Until next week, Ben Arbor, you all be blessed. Remember, if you see something, say something. Um, we all have to come together to protect what's ours. And again, we're starting that conversation now. So if there's nothing else, Chief, you got any parting words? And if not, we'll get out of here.
parting words is the roads are still might be a little slick. Be safe out there driving, and I'm good.
All right. All right, Ben Arbor, until next week. I am Director Dan McGinnis, City of Ben Harbor. That's Chief Greg Abrams, Benton Township. This is Chat with the Chief. And until same time next week, Facebook, YouTube, and we talk about what's not talked about in the 49022. Be blessed now.